Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go! Number 81 in your program, number 1 in your hearts, Andrew Sweeney. 2 touchdowns in the PFC for the PFC semifinal for the Regina Thunder. We'll talk about that in a second. As we tape this, we just both watched the Toronto Blue Jays capture a World Series berth. Now, last time Seattle's never been in it, and the Blue Jays, last time they were in it, you weren't even, how old are you, 20? 19,
yeah,
20?
I'm 22. I'm 22.
22, so you're, 22 is 32 years ago, so you'd have to go to YouTube and check that out. That's the best thing about YouTube, Andrew, because you can go back and look at stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Do you ever go down the rabbit hole and check things out, like old sports clips, and maybe look for when the Thunder won their first championship?
Yeah, you know what? I've done that before. I actually watched some old U Sports games from 2015. Back when you could cut downfield, and so I thought that was super interesting. And just seeing DBs and receivers flying at each other, 40 yards down the field at their knees, it was quite interesting to watch. So
I want to bring up your blocking in a second because I made mention of that on the broadcast on Access. Are you getting caught up in this Blue Jays fever? Are you a baseball guy? I wouldn't say I'm a super baseball guy. I'm a Padres fan, so I get my heart broken a lot. I don't like the Blue Jays, but I don't hate the Blue Jays, but I'm kind of getting caught up in it. How about you?
You know what? Yeah, I mean, over the last week here, lots of guys in the locker room have been keeping up with it and talking about it, and it's cool. I feel like baseball is kind of a slow game compared to football and some other sports, so it takes a lot of patience to watch. But I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, but I'm definitely paying attention to the Blue Jays this season.
So Andrew, were you anything besides a football player? Did you play other sports?
Yeah, you know what? I played almost everything. I played soccer, played hockey, did some racket sports. So I kind of wanted a taste of everything when I was younger, and then kind of decided on football.
Yeah, what made you pick football, and what do you like best about football?
Best about football would honestly be just the team environment, the culture around football. It's such a positive place to be. I look forward to going to practice every night, playing games on the weekend, and just having lifelong friends. That's the thing.
What do you do? What do you outside of football? Do you go to school? Back when I played junior football, it was kind of mostly a working man's league. Some guys went to school, but it was guys who work jobs and still play football. Do you work a job, or do you go to school? Do both? What do you do?
I'm in school. I'm, in my 5th year of school, I guess. So I got a little bit left to go, but, I'm taking 4 classes this semester with playing football. So it's been going pretty good.
What are you taking?
Finance.
Okay, so what do you want to be, a accountant or something like that, or
financial advisor? I'm looking towards. Yeah.
Are you good with your money?
I'm fairly good. I save pretty well. So
yeah, you do. Yeah. So give me an example of you being frugal. Andrew Sweeney being frugal.
I used to not be, so I used to eat out a lot, but I've gotten a lot better at that, at cooking meals at home. So I save money by doing that, and then just I don't know, every dollar matters. So getting a coffee in the morning, just making it at home instead of getting it somewhere else, just stacking those pennies and then put it away. Hopefully I'll be able to buy a house soon. That's kind of my goal once I'm done school. So.
Do you ever worry about that? Because we talk, my son's a year older than you. My daughter's a year younger than you. I just worry about them getting a house. My parents probably thought the same thing about me. Do you worry about, will you be able to afford a house, one day?
Yeah, I think so. Coming out, I might start kind of renting, but I hope probably in a few years after I'm done school, I'll have enough money to put a down payment, and then yeah, I'm not too worried. I know lots of people kind of are, just because houses are pretty expensive, but I'm okay with getting some a little cheaper and then fixing it up. So yeah.
Who's your best friend on the team?
Best friend, Tanner Donovel, another receiver I've been spending a lot of time with. So we drive each other to practice every week, and we hang out a lot. So
This is how old I am. This is how old I am. I went to high school with his dad. We played together receivers on the McGuigan Mustangs. Think about that.
Yeah, well, that's crazy.
That's a long time ago, man. So don't, when you get off, just don't say, "Holy cow, I just talked to a dinosaur."
Yeah.
Hey, so you went to Miller, but you didn't win any championships. How the hell does that happen?
Yeah, so I started off at La Boldis. I played a season there in grade 10. Was the field goal and kickoff guy. So did some kicking, and then in grade 11 I decided to switch over to Miller. I had a bunch of buddies there, and then we had a really tough season that year. Went 1-7. And then, grade 12 got canceled, which was supposed to be a good year for us. We had a lot of grade 12s, and I played with Sombacks and a bunch of other guys that committed the Rams with me out of high school. So we had a really good team, so it was really disappointing that we couldn't get that chance.
How did you end up with the Thunder?
Good question. I played 4 years with the Rams. It was really good.
Yep.
I used 2 years of eligibility there, and then had some problems like with my knee, kind of preventing me from having kind of good success there. And then talked to Scott, and he seemed like he was good with me, like rehabbing over the off season, and coming back and being like an immediate player there in the lineup. So I thought that was a great opportunity for me to have, and that's kind of how I decided on coming.
Yeah, and how cool is it too? Like I said, this is it used to be a working guys league, and I'm not saying that it's not, but they give a lot of scholarships. How cool is that this junior organization does provide scholarships for the athletes to go to school?
Yeah, it's really great. It's kind of split. Like there's lots of guys who work, and then there's lots of guys that go to school. So having that like little bit of extra support and money and kind of incentive for those guys going to school, either like trades or university, just having like something else, because football takes up a lot of time. So I think just having a little bit of extra money on the side really helps out. Yeah, it goes a long way.
So you scored 2 touchdowns in the game on Sunday. The first one was a drag route. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, so that's been a popular one all year. I scored a touchdown against the Hilltops on a drag route too earlier in the season, and they like hit me on those. I just use my speed and get hit on the run, and then it's kind of just an easy walk in. Got my guys blocking downfield too.
And of course, you scored one. There was like a little pass out into the flats, like a short little hitch or dig, and then you just broke one tackle and you were off to the races. Tell me about that play.
Yeah. I also scored one of my other touchdowns in the regular season on a play like that. It's a nice little tunnel screen. Got my O-lineman coming out, and it's kind of just like you just got to make a quick decision on make one guy miss, and then you can break through and just get to the end zone.
It's kind of like a kick or a punt return, that kind of play, isn't it? Like you make one or two guys miss and you're gone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So here's the other thing I noticed about your game. I forget who was it. Was it Borsch with the touchdown run, and you were on the sidelines by your bench, and you were blocking your guy 20 yards downfield? So that was one of them. And then Harnett, he ran 2 similar touchdown runs in the game, and the second one was down the sidelines. You can see it on my Instagram feed. It's the call from the game, and you were blocking downfield. It was more like a one-handed block, but as a receiver, you don't got to knock anybody out. Like you were talking about cutting guys and stuff. You just kind of got to be in the way, and you did a great job of that. Just talk about your thoughts with regards to blocking.
Yeah, I think it's such like a crucial part of the game. As a whole offense, when you get every guy, once the ball's in the running back's hands, every guy downfield getting their hands on a guy. It just makes the run so much more explosive and so much more of a threat, like having just running down the field and blocking another guy and knowing there's a guy coming down behind you and going to go score. It's like the best feeling, it's even better than scoring a touchdown, like helping your brothers out and kind of like, going down and just like giving it your all. That's kind of what makes football enjoyable for me.
I love that mentality, man, because receivers can be divas sometimes, or can be bitching and moaning because you don't get the ball. I'll put my hand up. Back in the day, I like blocking, but you want the ball. Like you always think you're open. If you don't think you're open, you're not a true receiver. So how do you wire your brain mentally when you're on a team like this, which passing is not number one for your team? Like you guys, you had 600 yards a couple of games ago. Last game it was over 400 yards rushing. Like that's the bread and butter of this team. So how do you approach the game mentally as a receiver?
Yeah, you know what? I just kind of take a step back and I just look at it from a team aspect. As an individual, I'm always, ecstatic to get catches and touchdowns and stuff like that. But, I want to win games, and winning games you need to block when you don't want to, or when the ball is going to the other side. You still got to put in like 100% effort, and you got to do it for the guys beside you, right? It's kind of a love of the game type of play. You just got to do it because you love it.
We just watched the Classic with the Blue Jays and the Mariners. There's not too many better rivalries in football than Regina versus Saskatoon. It used to be the Rams and the Hilltops. Now it's the Rams and the Huskies. And it's taken a while, but the Thunder now on par with the Hilltops. Like, you lost to them by 3 here. You beat them by 3 there. Had them by 10, but they closed the gap to 3. So this should be a really tight contest. A, how excited are you? B, what's the key? If you had to pick one key, what's it going to be for you guys to beat the Hilltops and get that shot at the Canadian Bowl?
Yeah, like I'm super excited. I'm treating it like every other game though. I'm not trying to get myself too hyped up or too stressed about it. I just want to walk into that game and play it how I'd play any other game. Just have that mentality of we're gonna win, and we're gonna do anything we can to do it. And coming back to, I guess, like the second question you asked. Do you want to repeat that? I
just asked, like, what's it going to take to beat them? You're excited, but you're trying to temper that excitement. What's it going to take to beat them, though?
Yeah. I think a good week of practice. Staying sharp every day. Making sure our mistakes are minimal, because I believe you practice how you play, and if we have a good week of practice, I have no doubt that we'll be able to go in there and get the job done. And I think effort too, for sure, on the field, that matters the most. Not getting too high, not getting too low, just staying calm throughout the whole game.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Who does a good job of that on your team, like from a player standpoint, trying to keep everybody level?
I think as an offense, we have a pretty solid, good group of guys who are pretty old and have like a lot of football experience. I think we, just take it play by play. And, we got guys like Peter, who, has been like a very strong part of our offense, and he's pretty solid. And then even quarterback Adam Mosher and Jackson, like they're both pretty level tempered guys. They kind of just make sure we're always focused in the huddle and stuff like that. So I think it's just a combined effort for sure.
What do you got left for eligibility?
This is my last year of junior, and then I'll have 2 years after this if I decide to go back to U Sports.
Okay, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this about myself, but I remember I had 1 year left of eligibility, but I really wanted to get into broadcasting, and I knew the Rams were we were a juggernaut team, and I thought, okay, I'm pulling up to Old Taylor Field, Old Mosaic Stadium. I thought to myself, if we win this championship against Hamilton and I have a good game, I'm going to forego my last year because I want to get into broadcasting school. So I kind of knew that was going to be my last game. I didn't tell anybody, but it's what I thought. So I was trying to be focused that week, but I was also kind of stopping and smelling the roses and being reflective. Like, this could be my last practice. Are you having to do that juggling act at all? And are you going to allow yourself to do that? Because, you should, like, if this is going to be your last year and maybe you don't play again, maybe, I don't know, but it's your last year of junior for sure. Are you stopping to smell the roses a bit?
Yeah, it's a weird feeling for sure. I've felt really good this year with this like team and how we've been playing. It's been a really good experience, and it's kind of sad that we don't have any other games promised after this one. This could be our last, and even if we win this game, the next one is my last junior football game. So it is sad, but I've really enjoyed it, and I think if I do decide not to play, I definitely want to win this whole thing outright. That would make it a lot sweeter for sure.
Talk about that lastly for me. I've said this. I wish we could bottle what's behind, because we're living in a very divided world almost too negative at times. We need youth like you to really make it positive. I really believe that. Like when I see your young, smiling face, full head of hair, I'm pretty pumped for you. Like you got the whole world in front of you. You're saving money. I love it. But I wish we could take what's behind the locker room doors of a football team. Like, doesn't matter if you're black or white. Doesn't matter if you're Christian or Muslim. It doesn't matter if you like the certain political party or certain music. You don't get along with everybody per se. I mean, like, they're not all your best buddies. But when you put on that Thunder jersey, you're all competing for the same thing and you're all brothers. I wish we could do that. And that's what my sons kind of talked about. The Bombers are talking about that. They're saying, hey, we might only have 2 weeks together as this group and we'll never be the same again. Have you guys kind of talked about that?
Yeah, you know what? I think we haven't really, it's kind of weird. I'm the only fifth-year receiver on the team this year, and so all those guys have the opportunity to come back next year and play again. So I think I'm probably one of the only receivers, at least, dwelling on, this is like my last time with this group. But I think at some point those guys will, once the season's done, they'll understand that, I'm not coming back, and then this was the last time we're all going to play together.
Okay, so anybody watching this game, like I know Andrew Sweeney has a high compete level, but anybody that's going to be watching the Thunder for the first time in this PFC game on Sunday, how will they know that the veteran, the old gray beard Andrew Sweeney is into the game? How will they know watching 81 that you are super turbocharged, ready to go for this thing?
Yeah, you'll see me blocking downfield. That's the first thing I want you to notice. If we got a run on the first play, and I got Peter behind me, I'm going to get that corner half, and they're going to be on the ground. That's for sure.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, listen, I actually, unfortunately, I'm torn. I'm going to Winnipeg to watch the Bombers, so I won't watch that game. So call that game. So do me a favor, please. I was on the call for the only Thunder championship game in 2013. I got to broadcast the game. You could even probably YouTube it. So I want to do one more Thunder championship game, and I think it would be appropriate that it's the same year that the 2013 team goes into the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. So do me a favor. Everything 81 can do to extend your season and give me one more game behind the mic, okay? Please do that for me.
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right, man. Thanks, and hey, however it goes, best of luck. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Athletes aren't built during the season. They're built here in the off season, where real progress happens. At the Den Sports Performance and Agility Center, they don't just train, they develop. For athletes ages 13 to 17, they offer team packages and individual group training with up to 5 weekly sessions of your choice of dryland or strength-focused work. Every program blends strength, agility, balance, mobility, speed, and recovery with a focus on durability that most programs overlook. Because showing up on game day means staying strong all season. Every session is coached by a certified speed and strength specialist and focused on long-term athletic success, not quick fixes. Flexible programming, real results. The Den Sports Performance and Agility Center is where serious athletes level up. Book your spot now at thedenyqr.ca. Well, my friend, you're the guy that said, I asked you before the playoffs at the end of the regular season, you think they can get to the World Series? And you said, yes, I think they can. I think they'll still play like this. They always find a way to come back. But I'll tell you what, that was the season right there. Even Buck and Dan said on the broadcast, this is the season right here. Did you kind of sense that too?
No question about it. Buck and Dan were amazing. They really teed it up perfectly, and they had some traction in Game 7 in the first inning. They got that tying run there in the first inning, and then innings 2, 3, 4, and beyond up until that big inning with the Springer home run, it was a little bit dead, and you could just sort of feel the players feeling the weight of the situation. And when that usually happens, you start seeing some weak ABs, early, weak contact, and I saw 2.5 innings worth of weak ABs, and I thought, oh no, they're chasing it. You can just feel it, and then they get a leadoff walk by Addison Barger, and that's when you think, okay, like this is what they've done all year. This is how they've kind of started to build an inning. Leadoff walks in the big leagues for the last 4 or 5 years have scored almost 48% of the time. So that's a very good stat. And then they're able to string some more runners on, and of course, just that swing in general was something that I'll never forget. And I was in the camera well with Hazel May, right on field level, and it was amazing. Just an amazing sensation being so close to it, and then feeling the energy off of the fans. That was the inning. To do it, that was the inning. And for George Springer to get it done, it was huge for the club.
Have you ever been in, like, you've played in the big leagues, you've played in some big games. Have you ever been in an atmosphere like that? Have you ever felt that type of sensation like that?
Yeah, we felt that. Kevin Gosman and I felt that in 2014 in Baltimore. Delman Young had a bases emptying double down the left field line. We were down by 2, I believe, and that was a bases clearing double, and we took the lead, and that place was absolutely nuts. And I was in the dugout on the visiting side in 2016 for Edwin's walk-off in the wild card. That was fun because I was at Rogers Center, and so you kind of get two comparables, right? And they were both probably, in terms of level of noise, like the same. And this is probably going to sound a little bit weird, but they felt a little bit different because of the shock and awe of it. In that George Springer's was a come from behind to put you ahead versus a tie game. Where when Edwin came up in the tie game in 2016, you sort of expected to win because of the scenario. I think people in Rogers Center last night, it wasn't they were expecting to lose. They were just nervous that if it doesn't happen, this might not be our year. And so it's a different type of energy. And so when the screams come out, when the ball is hit, when it's moving to left field, it just feels different. I guarantee you on the sound level, it's the same. But in the stadium, it just felt like relief, joy, elation, stress leaving the body. It was so cool, and I was so privileged to be so close to it.
You've done a great job, man. I enjoy watching, and by all accounts, do you still get to be a part? I know the Hazel May tweeted out a picture of her, Buck, and Dan. Are you part of that? Do you guys still get to cover the games and everything starting on Friday?
Yep, Kevin Pillar and I will be on field with Hazel, and the big production will continue. I assume it'll be, an hour-long pregame show like we've had, and an extended postgame show. Jamie Campbell, Joe Siddle, and Madison Shipman will be in the studio, and you'll have Shai, Davidi, Arden, Dwelling, and Ben Nicholson-Smith. We'll all kind of rotate. It's a huge production, and we're having a ton of fun. Those guys are amazing to work with, and it's just, when you talk about moving from playing into broadcasting to within the first 5 years of moving into that to be going and covering a World Series, it is it's like experiencing the playoffs as a player. It feels the same. And so everyone's feelings as a fan being so ecstatic for this team, I guarantee you your feelings are matching what the players feel like, just because it's such a unique and very tough task to really grab onto and experience.
And you don't have to be impartial. Like, you don't have to. You get to kind of root for the Jays. Like you do, because you're that's Canada's broadcaster for the Blue Jays. So you don't have to be impartial like you would maybe on a Fox broadcast or something like that.
Oh, no question. And I think that's one of the biggest components to working for Sportsnet in Toronto, is that you're able to cover the playoffs. The Dodgers, their entire season crew hands over their duties to the big national networks as soon as the playoffs. And can you imagine working 162 games, learning all these guys back in February, covering them for an entire season, watching them make the playoffs, and then have to basically stop and just become a fan? That's not the case in Canada because of the rights issues, and it's amazing that we are the only team out of 30 teams that get to send our own people on the field, have our own broadcast, do everything the exact same. The experience for Canadians is the exact same on spring training game 1 to a World Series game 1. And it's a really cool attribute, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
Shapiro said he wanted to sign Vladdy Guerrero. It took a while, but he wanted to sign Vladdy Guerrero, and when he did, he wanted Vladdy to be the the face of the team. He wanted the kids to put up the posters of Vladdy Guerrero. So it's runs like this, like back in the day it was Alomar and Carter and Borders and those kind of guys. Now it's this wave with Bichette, and we'll get to that in a second, with Vladdy, obviously Springer. Who was that for you? Like, I watched the young I had a buddy who's been on this podcast. He's the dean at the Edwards School of Business at the U of S in Saskatchewan here. And he said, I'm in town for a conference. I'm going to go to the game 6 and 7, even though he's a Red Sox fan. But he said the crowd was probably a lot of 16 to 35-year-olds. So, and even younger. I saw younger people. So for a young Caleb Joseph, who turned you on to baseball and got you going? Like, what was the game? What was the World Series?
Yeah.
Put yourself in that young kid's shoes watching yesterday.
Yeah, it was the Atlanta Braves kind of dynasty there with John Smoltz, with Glavine, with
Maddox.
And you go down the line of the position players, Fred McGriff. You're talking about like the Jeff Blausers, Mark Lemke's.
Chipper
like
Jones.
Yes, Jones, Chipper and Andrew, David Justice, like these amazing players. I would only live, 3.5 hours away from Atlanta. So it was that run that you feel super invested in. And I said this in a group chat this afternoon, a generation or two has now been born into Jay's fandom because of this run. And that's the beauty of sport, is that you might not be that interested in it, but when a team takes off, it's like a train going downhill with no brakes. You can't help but look at it, wonder where it's going, and seeing everybody rushing to it and think, I guess I should just run to this too. And then you get immersed into the atmosphere and you realize, oh, this is actually a really cool event. And they just do such a great job at that stadium of entertainment, of the renovations have done an amazing job in bringing people in. I truly believe that this run will be talked about 20, 25 years later. Like you were just saying, that there will be somebody on your podcast here in 20 years that's going to say, oh, I became a Jays fan when they went to the World Series in 2025. And it's historic. And to know that you're a part of a historic piece of an entire franchise's history, the year before they celebrate their, 50th year in existence, it's tremendous. So, yeah, it was the Braves for me, but I mean, I'm going to be in 20 years talking about this run as a broadcaster. It's been so special, and this team, the way they've done it, it's so pretty, it's so beautiful. Like, yes, the Dodgers are amazing. It was kind of fait accompli that they were going to make it, but like the way the Blue Jays did it, I would choose the way the Blue Jays did it 100 out of 100 over the way the Dodgers did it if I was a player.
Yeah, and like I just talked about Carter and Alomar and Borders and those guys. That was a star-studded team. This isn't a star-studded team. They might have, no disrespect, I hope I don't make anybody, I'm not trying to say they're not good players, but let's be honest. Vladdy Guerrero, Bo Bichette, George Springer, and maybe throw Gosman in there. And after that, it's a ragtag bunch that just don't quit. And you're right. It's the cool story. It's really David versus Goliath.
No question. Davis Schneider came out of the clubhouse right after their celebration, and I honestly think he said that exact term. He's like, just a bunch of ragtag guys. Like, who would have thought? And yeah, you guys, you were the ones that would have thought, because you knew right at the get-go that you had something special. And there's something tangible about their connection that only they know and they can feel and they can sense. And every team talks about being close and doing the right thing and being a good team and all this stuff. But, you get to a certain point in the season where adversity hits and you can't fake it if you don't really have it. And this team has literally been the exact same team from day one to now. They truly have. And it's one of the most consistently balanced teams I've ever seen in terms of just moxie, how they dealt with failure. You could not tell the ups and downs. And it's truly impressive because, like you said, it's not a bunch of superstars that are already paid in terms of their contracts, that they're just relaxed. I mean, there's a lot of guys on here that are trying to make a living, and these are high pressure situations. Yes, you're trying to win for the organization and the club, but you're trying to perform because you're trying to get your next contract. And so that's very abnormal. It's very odd to see a team like that with so many younger players in terms of service time being able to just flatline their emotions. And I truly believe that it's because of that flat line of emotion that they were able to ride so many of these waves. And it's why I believe that I don't hate their chances. I know everybody, like, they're going to totally be an underdog. And people are going to just Dodgers and like sweep, Dodgers and five. Like, but I don't hate their chances. I firmly believe that this was the only team coming out of the American League that could give them a run. If the Mariners would have won that game, and they very easily could have, but if they would have won that game, I can almost guarantee you they would have gotten steamrolled by the LA Dodgers. They would have punched out 10, 12, 15 times a game, and they just would have gotten absolutely crushed. But I do think the only team that can compete this year was the 25 Jays, and that's why I'm excited they're in it.
And we'll talk about that in a second. I won't keep you too long because you've had a busy time, and I appreciate you doing this. I think, listen, Schneider screwed up in the 6th game, and he took a lot of heat for it with how he worked his bullpen. But Wilson, the manager for the Seattle Mariners, did the same. Okay. You don't go to your ace like that. Yeah. I started this interview by saying to you, did you not think this was the ball game, the season right here? So wouldn't you think he'd think this is the ball game, the season right here? I'm sitting, listen, I don't know baseball. I'm sitting on my couch having a rum and popcorn, and I'm like, the Jays are going to win this game.
Yeah, and that's exactly how Blue Jays fans and we felt, like you just said, in that game with Brendan Little coming out of the bullpen. And sometimes there can be such no-brainers for the average fan. And I think it's a great lesson. I think the point to be taken from this is you need to be prepared. You want to be as prepared as you possibly can going into the game so you're not reactionary and you're only reactionary. But sometimes when you get so prepared and scripted, I think is the best word, and projected. It's the two words that I absolutely hate hearing in baseball right now, and it's scripted and projections. And what happens is when you are presented with the info, which is amazing info, and this is not a war on analytics whatsoever, it's amazing info. But when you're presented with that, it's so easy to get stuck into the formula and just, move this piece here and move that piece there without really taking your eyes off of the script and watching the actual play in front of you. I'd rather watch the play than just read the script while the play is going on. And that's sometimes I feel like is what happens when you have so much information. I was telling this to Kevin Barker, and he played for a long time and has a very successful radio show, obviously, in Toronto. And I said, look, if you take your eye off the actual product for 1 second and move it to anything other than the game, you are in trouble. And if you're looking down trying to match up, you're in trouble. The game will tell you, if you have good baseball sense, it will tell you when it's time. If you just pay attention. And that's what was a little bit surprising is Dan Wilson, amazing guy. And we were fortunate to be working together in 2021 when I was a Mariner, and he was a roving catching guy and tremendous, and excited and happy that he's done so well over there. I was a little bit shocked that that wasn't the moment with George in the top of the order that you would throw your highest leverage arm and Munoz. I mean, that's a no-brainer. He's a no-brainer. And it's one thing if you have 2 or 3 guys, which kind of was the position John got stuck in. John had 2 or 3 guys that, you could make arguments. You could look down at the script and say, well, Hoffman has given up a lot of homers and Sir Anthony does walk some guys. You can sort of manipulate that. Dan Wilson had an absolute no-brainer. And where they were in the lineup, I was shocked that that was not the move. I'll tell you this: there are how many people in Canada?
35 million.
35 million Canadians that are so grateful that Munoz did not come in that game. And I'll tell you what, being in the camera well and seeing anyone other than Munoz, I would have even taken Brash, the Canadian who is nasty. I would have taken Brash over Munoz. Not seeing Munoz come out, you thought, wow, okay, something could potentially happen here. But they hadn't given us anything up until that point to really believe that it was going to happen. And so once the inning started to unfold, you thought, okay, could be something here.
Okay, so you talked about this matchup, and you give the Jays a chance. Now, I am not in no way an expert, so you can shoot me down on this. But I've been saying to my buddies, listen, if they're going to win, they got to get to the Dodgers bullpen, because the Dodgers bullpen is probably like the Jays bullpen. It's been kind of, what's going to happen here? The starting pitching for the Dodgers is outstanding, But like you said, I think they can make the Dodgers pitching work for it because the Jays don't strike out a lot. Where Seattle would have whiffed and there'd be some easy innings for those starting pitching. You need the Jays to grind it out. If they can grind it out, get through the starting pitching, they do have a chance, I believe.
Yep. That's exactly the game plan. I think that's got to be the game plan, and they've proven that they can do that. And it's not even necessarily going and beating the starter. It's just completing the objective, which is to get him out of the game. Think about Rodon. Think about Fried. They did that to them in New York. And then look at the starters that they had to put up with in Seattle. I thought the starters that they had were going to be the biggest issue. Talking about Gilbert and just a lot of these guys that have elite stuff that typically run through lineups via the strikeout. And they've been able to battle. Think about that series that they had earlier in the year versus the Giants where they faced Webb, Verlander, and Ray, and they just wore them down. I mean, and what happens is these guys that are so accustomed to getting strikeouts and most of their outs via the strikeout, and they have to work harder and they have to locate better, it starts to wear them down. It starts to frustrate them. And so over a 7-game series, and you face these guys twice in a row, and you're seeing guys multiple times, their approaches start to choke the pitcher out. It starts to really wear them down and really upset them. And you can visually see, I saw Verlander visually get pissed off during that game because he could not put guys away. And for guys that are professionals at putting guys away and they can't, that becomes an issue. So you're going to have to figure out how and what that approach looks like. Sometimes it's ambushing early. Sometimes it's trying to lay off certain stuff. And that's what David Popkins, the hitting coach, who in my opinion has not gotten enough credit. He's got such a great plan for all these hitters individually, but matches up with a team-wide approach. And that's why I think they can do it, is because if they can outlast these starters, which they've done all year, and they get into that bullpen, they've proven that they can create traffic and create some other things, and then you get one swing from one random guy, and you might sneak a game. Then you put them on their heels because, again, Dodgers are going to be expected to win. No one is going to think the Blue Jays is going to have a chance. And so at that point, all the pressure truly is on the Dodgers. If they don't get it done, they're going to go down as the losers versus the Jays being the winners.
Yeah. So the manager needs to consider a couple of things because knees are going to be the problem. Do you put Springer in right and put Bichette as the DH? Both have knee problems, maybe one more severe than the other. I picture George Springer in right in that big right field at Chavez Ravine. Can he cover ground? Like, that's going to be interesting as we talk now. How's he going to set the lineup? And is Bichette? It'd be tough to say, Bo, you can't play.
Right. Oh, no question. I mean, and I'm so happy that the Blue Jays make it to the World Series so that Bo could potentially get some looks in this World Series. I mean, this is a guy that's been a cornerstone of the team for his 6th year now, and deserves to play in this. I mean, massive piece to this puzzle. He deserves to have his moment and fingerprint on this postseason, like he has this entire season altogether. My understanding, and I talked to Bo, and he said he's feeling really good. He said he's not 100%, but he's feeling really good, and he really believes he can contribute in some form or fashion. What we're kind of hearing is that they probably envision him as more of a pinch hitter type. Because he's not really agile enough to really play shortstop. That really starts to box the organization into certain moves later in the game, which if he can pinch hit, then you kind of keep George in his regular DH spot. And like the lineup, I think, is going to look very similar to what it did versus the Seattle Mariners. But part of me hopes that it's not that way. Part of me hopes to see Bo getting 4 ABs because, I mean, he's one of your best 9 hitters. There's no question about it. The question is how much time off and then going right into the Dodgers in the World Series is a bit of a collision course, so to speak.
Well, that's right, because it's a rhythm game. Like, it's a rhythm game, and he hasn't played in 2 months. It's pretty tough to just – we're not talking Dunedin here. We're talking Chavez Ravine. We're talking World Series. We're talking you got to be ready to go. Yeah,
which is why, I wish he was getting everyday ABs for him. And then it just makes a lot more sense to me to have him as a weapon off the bench. Almost like that threat of power off the bench. And instead of it being a threat of power because the Blue Jays can string together multiple hits, it's that threat of a vintage Bo Bichette base hit through the 4-hole, in between the first baseman and second baseman with guys at second and third. against a really nasty starter. Like that's just so I could totally envision that happening at some point. If that's the case, then the lineup will probably look the same. We asked George in Seattle if he thought he would potentially play right field with the Santander stuff going on, and he literally shrugged his shoulders, threw his head back, and said, "No chance." Like playing right field apparently is just totally off the table for him. If they came to him, he would obviously do whatever they wanted, but that response to me has told me that they've never even approached him, I'd say in the last 2 months, about playing right field. So maybe things change. It's possible, but I'd be shocked if George played right and Bo ended up DHing.
Okay, I'll let you go on this one. I've been thinking for the last few days since that National League championship series ended. I can't think of a better individual performance, like in a team sport, in any team sport, than what we saw from Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, you've had guys strike out 10 in a playoff game, but not strike out 10 and hit 3 home runs in the same friggin' game. Like, that's the greatest performance. He's the greatest ball player we've ever seen.
Correct.
Yes? True?
Correct. Oh, yeah. You just, what more should you or do you need to say? I mean, really, like, what more do you need to say? Can you hear my kids in the background?
Yeah, he agrees.
They're screaming for Shohei. They heard that.
There you go.
It is unbelievable how one guy can do both sides of the ball at such an elite level. I mean, okay, so David Price, you remember him?
Yes.
Pitch for the Rays, pitch for the Jays, big trades. Yep. David and I grew up playing against each other, and we played together in summer ball. But high school ball, we were on separate teams, okay? And he is pitching for the high school team. He pitched 7 innings. He went 3 for 4 in the game, batting in the 3-hole. Hit 2 homers, hit a double, drove in 5 runs.
Wow.
And they won 5-0 because he threw a complete game, 7-inning high school game, and he struck out 10 guys. And that I thought that was like the greatest performance I would ever see, just from a single one-man gig. Because honestly, David Price was a better hitter than he was pitcher. I know it's hard to believe, but he was an unbelievable hitter as an amateur. Unreal. Like the best amateur hitter I've ever seen. But then you see what we saw with Ohtani, and that's like doing exactly what Price did in a high school game in the playoffs. Like, are you serious? Like, it's almost like unfathomable that happened. I mean, it's like, wait, is this like is somebody AIing this? Is this like a video game? Like, it's truly remarkable, and it's unfathomable, and it's probably why they paid him like $700 million. Like, and everyone, oh, no athlete's worth that. Well, like, what if you literally do something that no one on the planet can do? Like, how much is that worth? I have no idea, but what I know is that was the people that were there. That is one of the most historic performances in sport, in my opinion, of all time. And those people got to see that moment in real time.
They do, and people get to see it in Toronto up close here, coming up here in a few days.
Hold on. Speaking of, sorry to interrupt you. You know what's funny? I heard, speaking of Ohtani in Toronto, you just spurred me.
Yeah.
Somebody said, well, Ohtani, he didn't want to play here, but now he's going to be forced to. Oh. I thought it was a great line. I thought it was tremendous, right?
That is awesome. And the other one is, I never thought of that. That is outstanding. Also, Teoscar Hernandez and Vladdy Guerrero Jr. are great buddies. So that's an interesting subplot too.
Oh, yeah. They're like brothers, and getting to see them every day in 2020, they were locker mates. They went everywhere together. Vladdy was kind of like Teo's shadow, so to speak, which is funny because Vladdy's an obvious superstar. Teo, great player himself, but kind of like big brother, little brother. That'll be a really fun dynamic. Oh, and another thing on the Ohtani stuff, which I thought was kind of comical, was somebody tweeted out, we've got the team's tail number, and we're going to be tracking that team coming all the way from LA to Toronto. Like, all the jokes, right?
Yeah.
So
you forget
I've forgotten about it. It's great.
Yeah, you forget about that because this front office was much maligned. Like, what are we doing? We lost this guy. We lost the pitching prospect to the Dodgers. We lost everything, and now they've got it all back. And it's funny how baseball works, man. Yeah. So I hate the Dodgers. I'm a Padres fan. I absolutely hate the Dodgers. Okay. I don't see them
hire, by the way.
What's that?
Who are they going to hire?
Pujols. I do. Don't you think you're laughing?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Don't you think that's a good hire?
I mean, he can connect with anyone. He's a tremendous guy. He's got great communication skills, and he's got the temperament, so to speak. I mean, he is. You talk about flatlining.
You know why I think they need him, Caleb, for this reason. Maybe he doesn't have if he can have a good supporting cast for him. They need somebody that can connect with Fernando Tatis Jr. because Fernando is same age as Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Vladdy's hit his stride. Fernando could be an MVP candidate every year, but he takes games off. He's immature. They need a guy like Pujols to say, okay, it's time to put on your MVP pants now. That's why I say they should get him. That's the only reason I think.
Totally agree. Totally agree. That's a big deal. You're bang on right there.
Okay, lastly, I hate the Dodgers. I hate it. I'd love to see the Blue Jays win. I don't see them winning. I got the Dodgers in 6. You think the Jays get it done?
I have to because this vested, right? And because of home field advantage, I'll go on a limb and say they do it again in a miracle season. They win in 7. It is pretty ironic though that the Jays do have home field advantage. I mean, like, yeah, we know we've talked about it, but I mean, just like think about it for longer than 2 seconds. Like the Jays have home field advantage. Like my point is it's set up. It is set up to take the script. Like the script is already partially written if they want to take it, you know. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There are times when in a season you just feel like the baseball gods pick a team for whatever reason. Everything seems to go right. Every player that they weren't counting on, career year. Every transaction, perfect. Every guy that went down came back better. And then you start moving into like certain matchups. You know, the fact that they win the division, they don't have to go through the wild card. They're able to rest older players. Like everything's starting to do this. You know, it's starting to just line up. They amazing swing from an MVP guy who honestly looked like garbage his first 3 at bats. He looked terrible. He could not get anywhere close. He was missing baseballs by 3 feet, 3 feet. And then the one time they need and so everything's starting to line up. Home field advantage. It's starting to line up. Like I'm not saying it because look, I truly think that the Dodgers are a better baseball team. Top to bottom, they are. But sometimes the better team doesn't always win. And it's just lining up perfectly for them to have a magical season. Either way, they've had a tremendous year. The country of Canada should be so proud. The organization should be proud. I'm proud of them because of their path. But I'm pumped, excited to cover it. And again, it'd be my first World Series, so I'm going to be sweaty and all that.
Hey,
it'll be fun.
I'm happy for you.
I'm just so glad the first 2 at Rogers Center and kind of get that feeling versus LA possibly being down 2-0 coming back. Like, hopefully they can take advantage of this home field.
And that's sorry, I got one more. I'll never talk to you till after the World Series.
No, you're good.
But I don't like 2-3-2. It puts a lot of pressure. It puts a lot of pressure on the home team. They don't really have home field advantage.
No,
and so my point is this: they were lucky. They played with fire and got away with it, beating the losing the first 2 and going to Seattle and hanging it tough. They absolutely. Honestly, if they want to win this series, I almost think they got to take the first 2 games in Toronto, at least one for sure, because you cannot go you can't go to Chavez down 0-2.
Yeah, that's a really tough venue. That they talk about third deck syndrome. That place has 4. Like it's just intimidating because it's not because of like Yankee Stadium because of the history. It's just like intimidating because it's just big. Like it's just on you. And it's the loudest stadium. Those speakers are like deafening. I mean, like I'm gonna have permanent hearing damage because of those stupid speakers. I mean, it's a great venue. Don't get me wrong. Like it's tremendous. Best playing surface in the big leagues by far. The actual grass, the dirt, everything's perfect. But yeah, they've got to do something special in the first 2 games for me to have a chance. And that's why I think that format is so stupid because look, if you're the visiting team, all you try and do is win 1. Okay, you try and win 1 on the road, and then if you really get on a heater and you sweep home, you win. Like you win 2 out at home after winning 1 of 2, you're still up 3-2.
Yeah, like
you're still up, and then you forced them to win 2 in a row. Just like that format is so dumb. I mean, I'm not necessarily complaining because that would be a lot, for us. Just bam, bam. It was a 2-2, 1-1-1. Like that'd be a lot of travel. But I always find that these formats, it seems like it almost is an advantage for the lower seeded team. You know, the visiting team.
And lastly, baseball. Lastly, said it 5 times. Baseball is interesting because no stadium, like in football, it's all the same field. In hockey,
Right.
it's all the same rink. In baseball, it's different. So there is home field advantage that way. You construct your team. But I need your opinion on this. So you talked about the fans. They were ruckus. It was awesome to watch. I only think football is the sport where the fans come into play because you're trying to call a play over the crowd and everything like that. Or am I wrong? Can the 10th man in baseball be important? Like, can the Jays fans make a difference these first couple of games?
Absolutely, if you're winning. If you're winning. So that's where, like, because think about, like you said, in football, like your team could be down, but if the team's on offense, like you almost hear more loud roars at football stadiums. Is that even proper English? More loud roars.
Whatever.
You hear the loudest roars at football stadiums when it's like 3rd and 1 and you're on defense, no matter what the score is.
Yeah.
The worst thing that happens in baseball is when you're at home, there is an expectation, the level's high, it's been ramped up, and you get right into the game and you blip and nosedive right out the gate. They score 3 in the first. And then, like, to build it back up is really, really difficult, which is why we talk so much about scoring first at home. Because if you score first, then what happens is they start to engage in a first and second, 2 outs, 3-2 pitch. Like, then they get up and they start going nuts. Now, if you're down 4-0, everybody's waiting for you to do something. And offense is what gets the fans going in baseball. And for me, sometimes defense can be the number one thing that gets fans going in football. Of course, everybody loves a touchdown, right? Like that's their roar for that. But like big stops in football seem to be like the thing. Well, scoring is the thing in baseball by far.
Yeah. Hey, man, thanks a lot. I appreciate you coming on here on a busy time for you. Enjoy your first World Series. You're doing a great job, and continued success, and go Jays.
Let's do it. Thanks for having me, man.